Welcome. This is the fourth Q&A for the Be Epic London International Film Festival 2020, the fifth annual one of these festivals. Of course, this one is online. That's what makes it unique from the previous years, for obvious reasons. We won't go into that. We're going to be talking about two films this evening. We're going to be talking about That Thing Between Us, and we have the director and producer Dave Grunwald with us. We'll bring him on, director, writer and producer, sorry. And also we'll be talking about House Sit, and we have with us Jack Crum, director and writer of that one. So before we bring them to the screen, let's have a look at the trailers. So we'll start with That Thing Between Us.
Vent lige lidt. Okay.
Måske er det kun indenfor.
Fantastic. So please welcome to the screen the director, writer and producer of That Thing Between Us, Dave Grunwald.
Hello. Thank you for letting me on.
Oh, thanks for being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Could you tell us, just to start off with, just a little bit about your film?
I wanted to find out what makes us people want to stay together when things turns bad or like just kind of boring or tedious every day. And I wanted to create a love story and a kind of far-fetched story, believable, and I wanted to, I want to draw people into the world of this couple, and I wanted to see how can you overcome when things are getting a wee bit of tedious and boring.
Yeah. It's yeah, that definitely comes across. It's a very captivating story. And yeah, I know what you mean about there being a sort of believable aspect of it.
Yeah, I want to take a everyday problem and making it a wee bit more, I can say, I don't know, see it in a different way.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so we'll bring you back in a second. Next, we'll see the trailer for House Sit. So let's have a look at that now.
Thank you. You're welcome. Awesome. Make yourself at home. Okay. Do you think they eat on the floor?
I think they're moving out soon.
How do you know them again?
I've never met them. There's a house-sitting website where you can hire people to come and stay at your place while you're away.
Fantastic. So let's introduce the director and writer of House Sit. It's Jack Crum. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about your film?
Yeah, similarly to Dave's, it is about a relationship. It's about kind of the end, beginning, middle, all of it of a relationship, and how different people can react to it and deal with it in different ways. And I think it's just kind of a little fun play on how relationships might end.
Yeah, it's definitely one that I did end up seeing it a second time, and it's quite interesting.
I'm glad you saw it a second time. That's that's really cool.
It's a very good film. I'm going to bring Dave back in. Yes, these are both amazing films. Thanks so much for both of you. It's a bit of a coincidence, actually. I do see a sort of vague similarity between the two of them in terms of the fact they're both focused on a relationship, and I suppose there's some element of kind of metaphor or something like that. That like there's an extra bit of cinematic magic. I mean, this like I say, this is the second Q&A I've done for this festival, and I'm never sure where to tread spoiler wise. So I'm being very vague.
Yeah.
Obviously, some people will be watching because they've seen the films, and others might be watching and enticed to see the films. So let's ask you both some more questions about the process of making these films. So we'll start with I suppose the origins, in terms of kind of how the actual process started for you. Like tell us something about how it came about and how you started actually going into the process of making it. And let's ask you one at a time. So Jack, let's start with you.
The process kind of started with my DP, who I work with closely, and he came to me and said that he had a few canisters of black and white film, and he asked me if I had anything written or if I wanted to write anything to shoot something in black and white. And that was kind of the genesis of both the project and the relationship with black and white. And what started out as, I guess, kind of just a fulfillment of, okay, we have material to use, and challenging myself, as I've never shot in black and white before, turned into the creation of why we choose things and why we crave to see things in color and why we crave to see things in black and white. And I think it was a really interesting experience to, I guess, not start with an idea, but start with a vision of a concept, because I knew the location where we were going to shoot. It's actually at my house in LA. But I didn't know what the story was about and didn't know what I was trying to say. And through those, I guess, limitations, sometimes creativity can really grow and change and morph into something that you maybe wouldn't have written without those things.
Yeah. That's it's great when that happens. Yeah, it's what they always say, isn't it? The limitations. So you shot this on film.
Yeah.
And do you shoot on film a lot, like, rather than digital?
This was the first time we worked with motion picture film. I take a lot of 35 millimeter still photography. So I work with still film very often, but this was my first experience shooting with motion picture film. And then since then, I did another project. I did a music video where we shot it half digitally and half in film. I shot with 16mm film, which was really fun. It's a very, very great experience.
Wow. Yeah. Dave, so can you tell us of the origins of your film? How it started for you?
It started with I took a lot of inspiration from my real life at the time when I was writing the film. And at the time, me and my girlfriend were living together, but our work time overlapped so much. So at a period, we didn't see each other. We just slept beside each other. And then the idea came that idea came about to make a movie about some people that couldn't be together in the same room. And that was the start concept. And then it was just like, what are my limitations? And I didn't have a lot of money or places to make the movie, so we made it at the place we lived. So therefore it became that it became a love story, therefore, because of the place. And then I drew some experience from the real life and combine that into the concept that these people can't be in the same room together without falling asleep. Yeah. So it started with a concept and then drew on some real life experience. And just like, I don't want to pronounce your name badly, but Jack.
Yep.
Jack.
Yep.
Sorry, Jack. And then it was just like, where can I film? And it was just like, we film in the apartment. Then, yeah, a bit of both.
Yeah, so that's yet another link between these two films, that they were both shot in places that you live in.
Yeah.
So and also this is it sounds like it's a very personal story for you, Dave. Very sort of is that what you were saying?
At some levels, but yeah, I wanted to find out that in relationship there's also some tensions, and then drew some of the experience from that. So yeah, you can say that.
So by the way, I feel I should mention to everyone there's slight picture issues with Dave, but we can hear him all right. So yeah, I mean, and we can see your face, which is nice. So
Thank you.
And Jack is I don't know if you said this already, but is it sort of reasonably personal as well? I suppose both of you have written these stories, so it's often the case, isn't it? You bring yourself into it in some way.
Yeah, I mean, I usually the things I write are deeply personal. I think that while this story itself isn't like a true story or isn't personal, a lot of the elements of things that I felt and the emotions that I felt, and I guess the undertone of the issues that I guess the people face, maybe not present and outward in the film, but like as a backstory. For me, in the writing process and the directing process of the actors, we're all very accurate to things that I have gone through or thought about or seen other friends of mine go through in relationships.
Yeah, I would say that I did find a lot of the dialogue does come across as very real. It's kind of
Thank you.
Yeah, very kind of natural dialogue, and yeah, it's great. Can you tell us? Next question is about challenges during making these films. So, anything that was particularly challenging that perhaps was a learning experience. So we'll go to Dave this time. I'll start with you. What can you tell us about any issues that maybe?
Or any issues? Can say. I want to say time in a way, because I started to write the film at a small film school here in Denmark, and then I was writing the manuscripts and everything, and then I started to make the movie after the film school, and I started to work at my day job as a school teacher. So it's just like juggling all those things, normal daily job and home life, and then trying to make this movie. That was some of the issues. I want to say the filming was great with the cast and crew and everything, but mainly it was just like time pressure in it. And then the editing part, the guy that was editing the movie, he lived quite far away, so it was just like writing together and phone calls and everything. So yeah, mostly time pressure in a way.
Right. So is it with the fact that he lived far away? Does that mean there was a lot of kind of remote working?
Yeah, it was. He sent me some clips. I looked at them, and then we phoned each other. And you know, when you don't normally, I do the editing self at these movies I make, but at this time I wanted to try to have a challenge, and then have another one try to edit the film. So the challenge was in like letting that part go from me, and I couldn't see the stuff right at in front of me, so to say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's going to be quite tricky, but I suppose it's the way a lot of people are working at the moment.
So it was a challenge, but also a great experience in a way.
Perhaps prepared you for how working now
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Also, that was another. I just remembered that there's another aspect to your film that it kind of predicts social distancing in a way. Would you say?
Yeah, in a way, you can say that.
Yeah. And so, Jack, how about you? Any obstacles which during this film that you perhaps learned from?
Actually, similarly, I, not with the editing, but with the post sound, that was a hard process because we weren't in the same room. You know, I went through one sound editor, and then he was just too far away, and it was really difficult to, especially because sound is so nitty gritty, and you know, turn that up a little bit here, turn that up a little bit there. It just got really difficult to know what you were hearing on one set of headphones versus another set and another system. So definitely learned to do sound in person together on the same, same system. I think it just, it was a really difficult process to do through notes and phone calls. For me, it didn't really work the way I wanted it to, especially because sound was a big element in my film, as in many films. And then other than that, it was just everything went extremely smoothly. It was just scheduling, especially for my actors who were both on different projects at the time. And when we set a date, they weren't sure whether or not their schedules aligned with mine and the crew and stuff like that. So just trying to get everybody free on the same weekend was a feat in of itself.
Yeah, wow. This kind of it's all very tricky, isn't it? the whole process.
Yes.
And I suppose it's interesting that it's not just the filming that's tricky in terms of getting people together, but it sounds like for both of you, the post. It's important to be in the same room.
Yeah.
So I mean, the sound. I know what you mean. There's a lot about sound in that film, especially the music.
Mhm.
But I thought it sounded great.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And also, I mean, it's kind of it's like a lot of the shots do. It's very much about them being together. So I doubt you had the chance to have one of them on their own at any point for a.
No, it was a true two-hander where both of them were in every, if not every shot, they were in every space together, and it was very intimate. Very intimate scenes where they were really playing off each other, and we were trying to be as from the outside looking in as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And well, it's just occurred to me with yours actually, Dave. I mean, this is obviously an incredibly possibly boring technical detail that I'm now finding myself asking you both. But with the nature of yours, were you able to have one actor on their own a lot, or was it the same? They're acting against each other, so yeah.
They did act a lot of a time at each other. So luckily, most of the scheduling did fit that. Just like Jack was saying, that it was lucky that everybody could at the same time, and but for the most part, the actors were at the same time present. One or two times, the one actor had to have another shooting another place at another film, and then we just have to work around and try to film some stuff that fit the time schedule. But
Okay, I've got another question here, slightly more light-hearted ones, just about any kind of funny moments during the production. But I'm obviously not going to force you to kind of invent one or like try and remember one. So if you've got one, either of you have one that pops in your head, then let us know. No.
Jack starts.
Okay.
Me?
Jack.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the best part of the filming process was the end of it, where it's kind of it was a fun montage type scene. It was all MOS, so no dialogue. And in my apartment in LA, I live in a duplex. So I live in a very, very quiet residential street. So not only was I disrupting people because the whole thing is set at nighttime. So, I was shooting from when the sun went down at 6:30 to 2 a.m. It was bright with all the lights and stuff, but I share a duplex with our neighbor who we have very thin walls. So we were just playing a lot of really loud music until very, very late in the evening. And luckily he was really good about it. But definitely on that last night where everybody just, at the end, it's kind of like it was a party at the end because, the two actors are dancing and it's fun and you want to create this kind of vibe and culture in that end where you're like, okay, we're gonna have some fun, because I think the rest of the film was a bit heavier. So it was a big switch, but luckily my neighbors didn't mind, and I gave them a bottle of wine after the shoot because we had opened like 4 of them. So
Oh right, yeah.
for
nice.
as props, not to drink ourselves, but
yeah. I'm sure you had some though, a little bit. So I mean, what was the like maximum number of people you had in the flat? We had quite a few crew.
There was, including myself, there was 10 crew members and then the 2 actresses. And then we had like my editor stopped by one evening, and then another friend of mine stopped by. But yeah, it was pretty difficult because our house is like quite, oh, sorry, I'm getting a phone call in the house, but it's our apartment is quite small, so it was actually really hard, especially because we were filming a lot of like big areas and it's just one straight apartment, so it's very hard to hide the people, especially there's a oneer in the film, and that was really difficult to hide everybody and all the equipment in the house in like nooks and crannies that you wouldn't see in that one last oneer.
Is that the last shot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that didn't occur to me. That's because that's a pretty amazing shot. It's quite long.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like 1 minute and 40 seconds or something like that.
I love to see a long shot like that. But yeah, that's yeah. I didn't occur to me how tricky that must have been.
Pretty tricky.
And Dave, how about with your film?
Just like Jack was saying, I had 2 scenes that I was thinking that the first one was the tennis scene. It was on the first day of shooting, so it's just like every actor had to know each other and didn't know each other before, so it was just like a easy day of going. But it was quite funny to let off and play some not real tennis because neither could play tennis, but it was just kind of fun to let go and everything, just saying hello to each other in a easy kind of way. And then I have a montage, I think two in the film, where the characters are doing different kind of stuff to each other, trying to keep them awake.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a lot of it was not
improvisation.
Yes, thank you. But it was a lot of it was a lot of it. A lot of that was the actors' own ideas to do, and it was just like that was the second day of shooting, and it was just like losing a wee bit up and learning each other of the characters that they were trying to act. So it's just like some of those more loosey kind of days where the actors could just try to learn the characters a wee bit. That it's quite funny when it just gives the actors some time and just say, let's try some stuff. It was quite funny. So yeah.
Are there would you say kind of reasonably genuine reactions to the things they're doing? I suppose I mean, I know they're acting, so
yeah, they're acting, but some I told the actors not to show that the actors didn't know what the other one was doing before they did it. So some of it was just like, you did that, so they didn't know what to respond at before the other actor did the part. It's kind of difficult to explain, but
no, that makes sense.
But you have seen it, so it was just like the other actor knew that the other was doing something, but didn't know why, didn't know what. Yeah.
Didn't know what was coming.
Yeah, exactly.
And how many of those didn't we see?
A couple, because it took a long time, and I just I was thinking, just let them go, and I found out at the end of the day, we probably did take a wee bit of more time at that scene because we were running out of time at the end of the day. But it was quite fun at the start of the day that just let the actors go and try different stuff. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're running out of time. So, yeah, but we made it.
Yeah. Can you? So, next question for both of you is about your kind of influences film-wise, either films or filmmakers or particular parts of films or performances. Anything that's been an influence to you as filmmakers. So we'll let's start with. I'm kind of doing an alternating thing now, so let's start with Dave.
It's difficult to say what's have influence, but I think I don't know. An actor like Rutger Hauer have made a lot of influence at me because he done a lot of different films, I think, and it just like I know it's strange to just put it on one actor, but he I've met him a couple of times, and it's just like I told him once about a film project and everything, and he just said, just have to make films and just make them. So that is one of the influence. That's the Dutch actor Rutger Hauer, because he just said to me, don't stop making films, just make them. So that's a wee bit of mantra I have for myself.
Yeah, that's a good mantra. I think that's for anything really, isn't it? It's kind of just if you have
for
an
everything.
idea, yeah, go for it. And I've I like Rutger Hauer. I've learned something today. I didn't realise he was Dutch. For some reason, for some reason I thought he was German. But yeah. So and it was, of course, passed away last year as well, didn't he? So that's very sad. Jack, how about you? Influences?
I think for this film in particular, because it is somewhat a standalone in the types of film I usually make, I was really influenced by Ingmar Bergman, especially Persona, and also The Silence, which were two incredible black and white films that dealt a lot with two women. And I really feel like Ingmar Bergman has a really incredible in touchness with women and his characters and how they interact with each other. And he really is has an incredible ability to toe the line between melodrama and something that seems a little more grounded. So I definitely take a lot of inspiration from him in all my films, but particularly in House Sit. I think, on the other hand, I have worked with the director Drake Doremus, who did films like Crazy, which won the Sundance Grand Jury Prize in 2011. And he works a lot with improv and a lot with especially like two-handers in discussing love and relationships. So he helped me a lot figure out the a rehearsal process and how to, I guess, confront a film that has to involve a lot of intimacy and nuance in romantic relationships. Okay,
yeah, thank you. I'm taking a lot of recommendations with these Q&As I'm finding. So I've sort of I think I've only ever seen one Ingmar Bergman film. I think it was Wild Strawberries some years ago.
It's a great film.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah. It was, and I did mean at the time. I remember thinking, I should watch more of these films, but I haven't got around to it. So now you've reminded me.
Cool.
So kind of similar to sort of carrying on from that. the next question is about. I'm going to go with the positive spin on this. But what do you like to see when you see a film? When you watch a film, what kind of things do you like to see? And we'll start with Jack.
That's a really good question. I think if I'm watching a film, I want to see honesty and truth, and in whatever regard that means, whether or not that's in the dialogue between the characters or within an experience. I think films that I'm connected to are ones where I'm seeing someone be really honest and really raw, and in all facets, whether like I want to see the writer being honest with their writing, the director be honest with the way that they direct and what shots they choose, and the actors be honest with what they bring from their lives to the performance. I just think it takes a good movie and makes it incredible when you really hit that honesty point. And otherwise, just personally for me, I enjoy stories about people who are introspective, and that you have to kind of think about what they're thinking about. I enjoy movies that aren't maybe straightforward and maybe end a little bit vague, and that for me, if I can walk away from a movie and I'm still thinking about it the next morning, that's a good thing for me.
Yeah, I do know what you mean about that, when it's kind of you're mulling it over. So not necessarily like action films.
They have their
They have their place.
pull, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
They have their place in the industry, of course.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I think actually it's I have a weird thing sometimes where it's when I completely don't understand anything, and then I find it's stuck with me days afterwards, and then it starts to piece together. That can be a strange experience, but quite good. So Dave, how about you? What do you like to see?
Just like Jack was saying, that I like to see a film that's challenging me, and just like you two were talking about, that have a universe or some persons in the film that's stuck with you, and you have to think about it, and you want to see the film again and again. That's why I think a person like David Lynch, you have to watch his films a lot of times, and you can always see something new elements in it and be challenged about it. So I like a straightforward action film, but I like to be challenged in the film, and also be challenged at my feelings. So be challenged in a way. That's the most definitely part I want from a movie. That's I want to when I sit down and see a film, I want to see, oh yeah, that's in your face in a way. So it can be a love story and you can cry, or it can be I watched Lighthouse. It was called Lighthouse here for a couple of months ago, and it was just like the sound in that film, and the filming format and everything was great. It was just like in your face, and it was just like, yes, I want to see that film again rather than an action film. But yeah, no, I also like an action film, so yeah, can't lie about that also.
Have to be, just make that clear to everyone. We all really like action films as well. Yeah. So I'm gonna spin it to be slightly negative now. What do you not like in a film, or what does what's the right way of putting this? In my notes here, I've got what makes you angry at a movie. So this, yeah. So not,
Um,
I suppose, not angry as in that's what the film is meant to make you feel, but what sort of, I don't know. This, like I say, this is a bit of a negative question, but let's see what you have to say. So let's start with Dave this time.
It's a bit of, what can I say, opposite of the other one question, but it's just like if you make the audience stupider than that that we don't are, if you are trying to talk down to the audience in a way, that's then you're wasting some precious time in a way, and you could do a lot better with a movie in a way. Just like if you, I don't know what can you, yeah, but when you talk down to the audience in a way, and it's just like, yeah, it's boring. It's difficult to explain, and I don't want to name examples or anything. But
Yeah, this is the thing, isn't it, with this sort of question? I was going to say, you just made me think of something though about when, I can't remember what I was watching recently, but it's there's a sort of, when exposition is done very blatantly,
yes,
and so that's kind of like talking down. But then
Yeah.
sometimes it needs to be done because it's like terminology that general public doesn't know. But I was watching something recently, and I was just thinking to myself, like, it's kind of like these characters wouldn't explain each one of these like acronyms or initialisms each time. But I think the way that I've seen that done in a film is normally that there'll be a voiceover going, "That was what we called the blah blah blah," or something like that, and sort of help you out. So there are ways of doing it. Anyway, Jack, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely what you both were saying, exposition, too much exposition. A pet peeve of mine, especially in writing, is like saying anyone's names. Like if the characters know each other, it bothers me when you're like, "Oh, Jennifer," and I'm like, no one. I mean, I don't even remember the last time I called my friends by their names. Like, usually I'll just say what I want to say. So that bothers me. It just, again, like, it takes me out of the world of the film. I also, and this is my own opinion, but I also don't love when everything is tied up at the end. So like I don't really enjoy a film that they'll create maybe 4 main plot problems or character issues that they're going to tackle, and if by the end of the film every single one is tied up and perfectly with a bow, and it just doesn't really leave anything to think about at the end. And if every go on.
Oh, sorry. I thought you froze for a
Sorry,
minute there.
cut out.
I'll let you carry on.
No, yeah, just if if everything is resolved at the end of the film, there's, I guess, nothing to think about. When you finish the film, there's nothing to imagine the characters tackling outside of the film, which I like to think about sometimes when I watch a good film. I like to think like, I wonder what the director or the writer thought about, or even the actors thought about their characters doing after this.
Yeah. I agree with that one as well. Yeah, there's been quite a few films I've seen where it fades to black, and I'm like, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
and then in comes this final scene. You're like, oh, yeah, didn't need that. Again, I'm not gonna say what they are, but yes. So, what advice would you give to a kind of a new filmmaker, someone embarking on this process? Let's start with Jack there. What sort of advice would you give a new filmmaker?
It's hard to give advice in filmmaking because I think there is not one way to do anything in this industry. There's literally no right, no wrong. Anybody who tries to tell you that is lying. And I think just coming into the industry, I would give the advice of follow what seems right to you, follow your gut, and really be true. If you're a writer, especially, or if you're a writer filmmaker, and just write what you need, your story you need to tell. Like write something that means something to you, because it does take a long time to make films in general. It does take a long time. So if you write something and then in a month you lose interest, or in a year you lose interest, it's very difficult to like maintain that interest and that passion you have for a project over a long period of time. So I guess my literal only advice would be listen to yourself and be true to yourself. It was kind of lame, but
No, that's it's beautiful. Yeah. I think we'd all agree with that. Dave, how about you? Advice for new filmmakers?
I totally agree with Jack's advice. Be true to yourself, and then you have to believe in the things that you're making. And it takes time, literally. It takes long time to make a film from start to finish and all the time onwards. But listen to yourself, and it is your movie that you're making, and then you have to learn from experience, because you make a movie that you can look back and say, hell, that was not quite as I was expecting, but you have to learn from this all the time you're doing a film, so it doesn't waste. But be true to yourself and spend time. And yeah.
And like we were saying earlier, the whole, just do it.
Just do it.
just do it.
And keep on doing it.
Maybe we should trademark that phrase, just do it. I don't know if that's that's available. No. So yeah, I think thank you very much, both of you. We're going to wrap up very soon. What we like to do at the end of these Q&As, just to kind of just a bit of fun at the end, is play a little game of truth or dare. So we're all aware of this game, so it's completely fine. Don't worry. I'm going to ask each of you truth or dare, and you choose. And obviously, truth is a slightly more. It's still a question about your film, but it's slightly more, slightly more personal question. And then the dare is the dare. So, who shall we start with? Let's start with Dave. Truth or dare?
I take truth always at the beginning.
Okay. Well, we're only doing this once with each of you. So that's
okay.
your
I still
choice.
take truth. Yeah.
Still taking truth. Okay. If you could change something about your film, what would it be?
I will probably change the length of it. I will probably maybe shorten a wee bit, I think. Retrospective, I would like to make a cut 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. And okay, Jack, truth or dare?
I mean, I talked so much about truth like 2 minutes ago, so I have to pick truth.
Okay. So yeah, what did you dislike the most about the filming production process?
About the filming process?
The whole process.
The whole thing. Post sound. I mean, that was
Okay.
As I said, it was I know it's I've already spoke about it, but yeah, it was a really difficult process just because I really hadn't worked on such a project where the sound mattered that much, and it was like when you're fighting tooth and nail between like trying to understand why things sound the way they do. It's really hard, especially like, you know, any person in the world watches a film and nobody's thinking like, wow, that film sounded great. Like, unless you're in the industry or you're, like so it was hard to think about like, why does this not sound like what I am in my head imagining it sounding like? So it really is like a whole new language to learn. And I wasn't really, I guess, prepared for how specific and that process would be.
Yeah, it's a whole project in itself, isn't it? It's kind of, there are people who make things for radio, and that's they're having the same level of kind of problems, and then you're doing basically that and the image as well at the same time.
You're right.
Yeah. And of course, yeah. So in both of your films, the sounds very. In fact, I was going to say, I'm slightly breaking the rules here, but I think the dares that we were going to go with were both related to music, because yeah, humming some of the music from your film. So let's just do that to wrap things up.
Oh,
why not? So Jack, any you able to remember the melody from one of the songs?
Yes. I'm such a bad singer, so I'm really sorry for anyone who's watching this. But that's really, it just repeats again and again.
Amazing. Thank you very much for that. Okay, and Dave, I think this is possibly the song that plays out at the end. I don't know. It's up to you.
Oh, you want the song at the end? I can't remember that one. Can I?
Okay, well, so that was just
okay. I'll try it. Yeah, it was a good one because it's a good song, but I don't think I can remember everything. But I'll try. Try a song. Jack, were you a singer?
I'll try.
No, but okay. I'll just take a song. Something like that. I can't remember the lyrics. No, so
once again,
thank you.
Thank you so much for that. That's a nice little kind of. It's nice to end on a song, isn't it?
Yeah.
So thank you very much, both of you. You can anyone watching, you can catch both of these films. That Thing Between Us. I'm just going to see which sessions they're in. But basically, you can watch both of them if you get the full festival pass. And yeah, that's I can't remember what sessions they're in, but if you get the full festival pass on Cinenso, you can watch both That Thing Between Us and House Sit, both great films. And if you haven't seen them already, then hopefully this has whet your appetite. So all that's left is to thank you once again and remove you one by one. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
Jack. Thank you so much for coming, and Dave, thank you very much. See you soon. Okay, everyone, the next one of these Q&As will be tomorrow at 5 p.m. UK time, and it will be hosted by me, Jonathan Hearn, once again. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the festival.